Hi and welcome to another video from Tech4rc.com. Today's video we're going to be fitting the solder Vibe unit to the Spektrum DX6i transmitter. First job is to remove the batteries. While I'm doing this, you do need something to put the transmitter on to protect the switches, joysticks and the trim tabs. This is the foam insert from the box. You can use a couple of rolled up towels or cloth or some foam. We're going to need a small Phillips screwdriver, a medium Phillips screwdriver, a soldering iron and some solder. So the next job is to remove the 6 screws from the rear of the case. I'm using a magnetic screwdriver, so it makes it a little bit easier. And we'll just put the screws into the foam insert to keep them safe. And that's the 6th screw. So once the screws have been removed, what you need to do is just pick the back up carefully, move it towards you. Inside there are 2 4-way connectors and 1 2-way. I always start with the left hand one. You want to grip the wire and the top of the connector and just wiggle it to the left and right. These have been off before, so they're a little bit easier. You'll find them quite tight. Don't just grab hold of the wires, you'll pull the wires off. Just be careful and just pull those upwards. There we go, we'll put the back to one side. Once the rear of the transmitter's off, what I'm doing now is remove this little printed circuit board. So with your small Phillips screwdriver, you just want to undo that single screw, put it in there. This just pulls up vertically. You've got a row of connectors there, so just pull that straight up and just put that to one side. There we go. What we'll do now, take the Vibe unit out of the packet. What we've got here is the motor with the bracket already fitted, the control unit and 3 pre-tinned wires. First thing we want to do is fit the motor. So if you get your small Phillips screwdriver, just hold the motor between your thumb and finger, and we've got a little stanchion there. What you want to do, make sure the screw's upright and just screw that to that stanchion. It's quite a long screw, but you don't want to over tighten this because you're going into a plastic stanchion. So tighten it up and just keep going till you feel it stop. And what we want to do is it needs to be tight enough so when you push on the end the motor doesn't swing round. The end of the motor where the wires comes out wants to be flush with the bracket, and the weight needs to be clear so it can spin round. So once that's fitted in place, I want to feed these wires underneath that one. The blue and black want to go underneath those wires and just feed them up to the top there, and the red wire you just want to feed under this bunch of wires there. So what we're going to do now is solder the black wire is going to go onto this pad here. So what I'm going to do, grab the soldering iron, put a bit of solder on the tip, just there we go, got some solder on there, put the wire on top of there, heat the pad up, and there we go, that's soldered on. Next we want the blue wire, put a bit more solder on, heat the pad up and solder that blue wire to there. There we go, that's that wire on. What I want to do now is take the red wire. You've got 6 pads here. We want the bottom left pad. So again, put some solder on the tip, heat that pad up, and just solder that wire. This is a very small tip. You want quite a small tip to get onto that pad. But there we go. That's all soldered onto the printed circuit board. What we do now, pop off the tape off the control unit with the foam, place that on the side of the transmitter and just push it firmly so it stays in place. You just want to make sure all these wires are going to be out of the way when you put the rear case on. So they're out of the way. Just make sure that nothing's in the way of that motor spinning. And there we go, that's all soldered in place. So what we do now, take your little printed circuit board, line up those connectors, and you've got to line them up here. Just push gently down on that. Get your little Phillips screw, screw that down, again not too tight because you're going into plastic. Just make a visual check to make sure all the wiring's nicely out of the way. Take the rear of the transmitter, plug your two-way connector in, plug that little four-way in, and you'll feel them click into place. Just make sure they're fully down. And finally that last connector, put the rear on the transmitter. I'll just put a couple of screws in to shorten the sequence. And there we go, that's one and two. Put the batteries back in, just make sure you get the correct polarity. Put the back on. There we go. Now when we turn it on, there we go, I can feel that vibrating every time the alarm is sounding. Thanks very much for watching this video, and hope to see you on the next one.